Hey, real quick, do me a favor right down there. You see it right down there? Hit that like and subscribe button. I think the subscribe button over there. Do me a favor and punch both them. Thanks. Let's go. Hey guys, what's up? Let's talk about it. FTX. First of all, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is purely for entertainment purposes only. Anyway, this Sam bankrupt fraud scandal that's going on, FTX, supposedly the biggest fraud in the history of maybe the United States or the world. I'm not sure how they're classifying that, but it's big. Anyway, we want to look at some of the things he said in a CNBC interview. So let's check this out. By the way, I'm wearing a nice American patriotic shirt for this event. So let's check it out.
Sam, let me ask you about this, though, because the other piece of it is using your money and influence, and I think there's a question about whose money you were using, but to donate, for example, to the Democratic Party, in large part, to influence.
Donate to the Democratic Party. Whose money?
Regulation. And I think as people have looked through now some of the regulation you were pushing for at CFIUS, for example, some of that regulation would have allowed you, frankly, to, quote, self-certify a lot of what was going on at FTX. And there are people.
Whoa. To do what? Self-certify.
People who look at that and say it was all part of a scheme.
So I'm unpacking a piece of that. When you look at like this, the CFTC regulation there, ultimately there may have been an ability to self-certify contracts, but prior to that, we went through a congressional hearing.
Congressional hearing to self-certify. All right.
A public comment period, a public roundtable, a year of inquiries, and tens of thousands of hours, thousands of pages of submitted documents, and still had not gotten to the point of having a license to offer margin futures in the United States.
How much money? He's got thousands of hours. How much money have taxpayers had to pay out just so this guy can self-certify? In other words, self-report, cheat. This is just for enjoyment only, right?
It was an extraordinarily long and hard process that we were going through with the CFTC. It was by far the most intensive regulatory process that I'd ever seen.
Can you speak to the lobbying piece of it, though?
Yeah.
And the donations piece of it? Because I think that's become part of the story as to whether you effectively were influencing lawmakers to do your bidding. And given the state of your current company, questions about whether that should be the case.
Does money influence lawmakers? Are you serious?
So, lawmakers were not ruling on FTX. FTX didn't have an application before Congress for anything. My donations were mostly for pandemic prevention, and they were looking at primary elections where there were candidates who were.
Hold up. If they didn't have an application before Congress, what are they doing there?
Spoken in favor of doing things now to prevent the next pandemic. That was the primary thing that I was supporting with those contributions. And, it was on both sides of the aisle, primarily operating in both primaries because it wasn't
both sides
doing
of
it
the
as a
aisle.
partisan exercise. It was not, most of this was not looking at.
In other words, Democrat and Republican.
Donating to one party to beat the other one in the general elections here. It was not only was it on both sides, but even within each side, it was between two candidates in the same party, and it was looking at pandemic policy.
Where did the money come from for those donations?
So, basically profits. it was substantially smaller than the amount of trading profits that Alameda had made over the prior few years.
Related to this, you had a meeting with Gary Gensler. You also met with folks at CFIUS. Do you think you...
Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, or in other words, it would be like the FBI or the CIA of Wall Street.
Needed to buy your way into those meetings?
I mean, I don't think I need to buy my way into them. I do think it was harder than I would have thought it would be to get to the point of being even able to have meetings with some regulators. And I mean, I spent hundreds of hours, probably thousands of hours in DC trying to get to the point where I could even have meetings with some of the relevant regulators. But that wasn't the money thing. And I mean, there's no donations to Gary Gensler's. He doesn't even have a campaign to donate to in the first place. That was like elbow grease. I mean, that was just
probably just got to write him a check.
Asking again and again and again to have meetings with relevant regulators and submitting hundreds and thousands of pages of documents.
You also made big investments in a number of media companies, and I think that's raised a lot of questions about whether you were trying to buy influence. Can you speak to that?
I mean, I think media matters a lot, and I want to support good media ventures. That was the whole thesis there.
So in other words, a poor person, we don't stand a chance against the rich, wealthy people. Not only with the rich and wealthy, if you invested in FTX, what it appears to be is you paid for this. Now, I feel sorry for you. My heart goes out. Some of these people have lost a life savings. You had no idea this was going on. Why isn't he in jail? Okay, that is all I got for that video. If the ones that are not interested in Mmtlp want to drop off, you can drop off now. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on your way out. All right, Mmtlp, let's talk about it. Hey, I just had to add something I forgot to mention before, but I know what we can do to help out with Mmtlp and the FINRA. We'll just get some money and we'll self-regulate. Anyway, if you have no idea what Mmtlp is, it's just a stock that is going private in the last day of trading. It's supposed to be either December the 12th or the 14th, 13th, 14th, somewhere in there. Anyway, so just watch the rest of the video if you're interested in Mmtlp. All right, Mmtlp, let's talk about it. It appears that FINRA is not wanting to play ball here. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Maybe they don't. Maybe there's so many synthetic shares that they just can't get them closed. I have no idea. Again, I am not selling anything for no less than $100 a share. I'll let it roll on over to NextBridge. And only then it's just a fractional. I'll not be sitting with my finger on the sell button. I'll be putting limit orders, batches of limit orders, some at 100, some at maybe 250, 500, 1,000. And, I intend to keep some just for NextBridge, unless they're willing to pay me a lot of money for them. And I'll let them go then. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And according to the data that I'm reading, shorts got to close between the 9th and the 12th unless FINRA does something to stop this. But we can see over the past week, we shot up like a rocket, but we have come back down a little bit. Now, this does not scare me in the least little bit. I remember when I first got into AMC and GameStop, I remember one time it dropped $100 a share just right in front of my eyes, and if you can live through that, you sure can live through this. And this is nothing. It don't bother me in the least little bit. She can come all the way back down to here for all I care. I'm not selling. And I'm not telling you to buy, hold, or sell. This is not financial advice, but I'm not selling. It'll have to be way up here on about 50 other computers above us. So anyway, this week's going to be interesting. We'll have to see what happens. Again, I am not selling. Don't panic sell. I do not have stop losses on any of my stock. The only thing I have is sell orders, and they are way up there. First one starts at like 100. So anyway, this week could be interesting. Could come on back down. Time will tell. Look, we'll catch you guys next week. Maybe we can make another video during the week. I was going to make another one this week, but my brother-in-law passed away. My stepdaughter's grandmother's been in the hospital. And my sister is also in the hospital. So things have been really hard this week. So we'll try and get a video out there. So I will get back to y'all during the week. Thanks.